This is the Aaron Judge era of the Yankees. It's not the Aaron Boone era. It's not the Brian Cashman era. It's not the Hal Steinbrenner era. It's not the Max Fried era. This is about Judge. The Yankees need Judge to win games.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. That's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today is Monday, September 29th. The New York Yankees finished the regular season with 94 wins, Joel. We had talked about it at the beginning of the season. How many wins is this team going to finish? Will they finish the top of the AL East? Will they finish in a wild card? Will they finish out of the playoffs? Went through it all, and they finally finished at the top wild card in the American League. We're going to break down this playoff preview matchup with the Yankees and Red Sox set to go Tuesday night. This potential three-game set. Talk about the pitching matchups, talk about Aaron Judge's insane year. We'll break it all down on today's episode as always. And we appreciate you fans who come and join us every single week. It's been another fun season for us. I just wanted to get that off my chest here to start the show. But I'll throw it as always on a Monday morning. Joel Sherman, how you doing today, sir?
A lot better than the New York Mets, I'll tell you that. I was at Yankee Stadium yesterday, and Ryan, part of it is like I still thought I'd wake up today and the Mets would be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't believed for 1 second that they wouldn't make it. And I mean, when Ronnie Mauricio, who never draws a walk, draws a leadoff walk in the ninth inning yesterday, even with them down 4-0, I'm like, this is going to be the game where they finally win when they trailed going to the ninth. They waited till the end, and
How crazy is that? They never won a game
it's
ever.
they look. There's a Yankee webcast. I don't
Yeah.
want to get too deep, but in a way, I wonder if there's a. We should talk about the two New York teams because look, it's easy, and I participate on this where we deep dive the Yankees. We hold them to the highest standard, and we should. For a bunch of reasons, their history, their payroll, but also because they tell us all the time that they're a championship or bust organization. And so, like, okay, that's the standard we're holding you to. The Mets and the Yankees both began a nosedive on June 13th, and the Mets nosedive never stopped
Yeah.
right through the end. And the Yankees, starting August 11th, have the best record in the major leagues. That was good enough to get them tied for the best record in the American League, have the same record as last year when it was good enough to give them the number one seed. This year, they needed one more win. They're going to be in danger starting immediately Tuesday night, Garrett Crochet, but they're in, and they're in because institutionally, all the people we want fired all the time actually probably know what they're doing and are good at this. And they know, the Mets still have to get beyond the stigma of they don't make the playoffs a lot. They hardly ever make it 2 years in a row. They've never made it 3 years in a row. And the Yankees know how to get there. And I know people turn around and say, well, it was a soft schedule at the end. It was, but it began with a tough schedule where they went 7-5 against four really good teams. Uh, and they took care of the soft spots. You could lose to them. The Mets lost series to Washington, Miami. If they win one of those series, one more game in there, beat Washington 2 out of 3 or beat Miami 2 out of 3, they go to the playoffs. It was only going to take 84 in the National League. It was going to take, what did it take? 88 in the American League, and the
Yeah.
Yankees got to 94. And so I think that this was, look, the Yankees are going to be judged by 14 games if they can win 14 games going forward.
Yep.
This is who the Yankees are. But on this webcast, we should take at least a moment to reflect that they got their act together and that they are at the minimum, a very, very good regular season team. They know how to get in. And if you think, oh, the big payroll will get you in, the big payroll didn't get the Mets in.
No, it did not.
Stars didn't get the Mets in. The Mets had Juan Soto this year. The Yankees had him last year. The Mets had him this year. And I mean, he almost had a 40-40 season. And if I had told you nothing else on March 27th before the first pitch of the season, Juan Soto's going to go close to 40-40. First of all, you wouldn't believe he had 38 steals.
Yeah.
That's kind of like about a 3 or 4 year total for him. It was a 1 year total. If I told you nothing else, he was going to go 40 plus homers, 38 steals. You go, wow, Mets are going to win 100 in the division. They won. They didn't even get to the 84. They couldn't beat out the Cincinnati Reds. They couldn't make a 16 wild card field in the National League. So, every once in a while, we should probably stop and say the first step is getting in. And while the Yankees have not proven under Aaron Boone and with Aaron Judge and specifically, they know how to get through to the end to a parade, they certainly know how to get in.
Well, look, this is the follow up, right, to the World Series run that they went on last year, losing ultimately in that series. But this could have ended really badly for the Yankees. Like we talked about it a ton this season in terms of the June swoon. July was really ugly, but then it turned mid-August, and then the schedule lightened up. They took advantage of that light schedule to what you were saying. And now they put themselves in this position of look, 106, I think 164 run differential this year for them. Like they're one of the top, they were one of the top league teams in the American League. It's a very uneven American League, I would say, like in terms of like you don't know who's going to really stand out in this group, but there's a real chance in front of them here. Some notes before we get into this real deep dive of the Yankees Red Sox is, the Yankees haven't won a playoff series versus a non AL Central team since the Athletics in 2018 when they actually won a wild card game against them. So Joel, for you, is there some kind of, I don't know if it's like this cloud, but is there something here where this Yankees team has an opportunity to really step forward and get past these demons of the Red Sox, and now the Astros are not in the playoffs, but get past these non-AL Central teams and prove that they can win some real playoff games here?
Yeah, the stigmas are on the table now. There is not going to be a soft AL Central touch to begin here. The two teams who they had trouble beating this season, and the reason they didn't win the AL East, were the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. Well, to get to the ALCS, to play somebody outside the AL East, they got to beat the two AL East teams.
Yeah.
They got to beat the Red Sox, and then the Blue Jays are waiting for them as the number one seed if they get through. The Yankees did just win series against both recently. I think 1-26, the Yankees are a better team than both of those teams, but this isn't on paper. On the field, those teams both beat the Yankees during the year. The Yankees, to your point, going back to 2017 in particular, but you really just want to, if that's the Aaron Judge era, and beginning in 2018, the Aaron Boone era, they're really good at beating AL Central teams at this time of year, and then they don't beat bigger teams from the AL East and AL West, as long as it's not the what town are they in this year A's. So they're going to have to prove that. They're going to have two people who get under their skin. This is going to be about the two Alexes.
Yeah.
Is they lost playoff series to Alex Bregman in 17, 19, and 22 Houston. They lost it to Alex Cora in 17 when he was the bench coach for Houston, and in 18 and was it 21 when they lost the wild card game also to Boston. So they lost in 18 and 21. 18 was the boombox with Aaron Judge. The Yankees tied the series 1-1 in Fenway. He played New York on the way out. They didn't win another game. So I think those stigmas are on the table. Can they beat a 2024 problem, which they couldn't deal with the Red Sox and the Blue Jays? Can they win a recent historical thing, which is can they beat somebody who could flex a little bit also and not just curl into a fetal position from the AL Central? And can Aaron Judge rise at this time of year? He had another historic season, and what is missing from his Hall of Fame resume, he's going to the Hall of Fame. What's missing from any attempt to get on Yankee Mount Rushmore is a big Octobers and rings. That's how the Yankees are defined. I can tell you about the big Octobers for Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, you name them. I can't for Aaron Judge. He could hardly be going into an October better.
Yeah.
He's on fire. He's probably done a lot in the last 2 weeks to seal the MVP, or at least give himself a strong case for the MVP. Yet again, a third one. And it all is incomplete if he does not have some guys get on my back moments. It's funny. He needs a Giancarlo Stanton in October.
He certainly does. And he couldn't be hotter going into the playoffs, but I know you've talked about it, Joel, and you said, Ryan, it doesn't matter. It's game one of the playoffs, and anything can happen. Anyone can get hot. It doesn't matter how hot you are going into the playoffs. Like, you could be playing well, and it just wild card teams make the World Series. Like, anyone can go on a run here.
Well, you know how fickle this is, Ryan, because like the reality is going into the last day of the season, the Yankees could have played two teams on Tuesday night. One was Detroit and one was Boston. And again, 1 to 26 on paper, the Yankees are better than those teams. But those two teams have lefties who are going to finish 1-2 in the Cy Young this year. So you're going to face either Skubal or you are facing Crochet on Tuesday night. The Crochet has started 4 games against the Yankees this year. Boston is 4-0 in those games. He's 3-0 in them. He's pitched very, very well. And so by about 9 p.m. tomorrow night, I think tomorrow first pitch is 6. By about 9 p.m. tomorrow night, the Yankees season could be on life support because Garrett Crochet is great, and this version of Aroldis Chapman is great, and those guys might be the only people who touch the ball on Tuesday night. And the Yankees are going to have to beat a really outstanding starting pitcher, or they're going to be like, hey, it's just, they follow with 2 righties, Brian Bayo, who before his last start really dominated the Yankees, and Lucas Giolito. So like it's not death. Could they beat those 2 guys? Could they beat the Red Sox? Sure. But then if they lose tomorrow night, all the history comes back. Oh, Cora's under their skin. Bregman's going to beat him again. The Guardians or the Twins didn't show up. Tomorrow's a very pressure-packed day in their ballpark. And you see how playoffs can go bad very quickly. Like within 30 hours, your season could be over.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a completely different podcast than this very nice one about, hey, they won 94 games. We'll be back to me trying to talk you out of bringing Aaron Boone to The Hague for crimes against humanity. Again, this is the rules of engagement for the Yankees. This is part 1 where we can say that was really well done. It was like they figured out how to pick themselves up again. But this is like the Guardians could lose in round 1 and people go, what a nice job by the Guardians to come back this year. The Yankees are held to a different standard. If you come here and take their dough, you get to understand that's what the standard is. The standard is about, do they have 14 more wins in them? Ultimately, they're going to have to win 108 games this year.
And also the standard is, can you beat the Red Sox in the playoffs?
Yes.
Team that you had highlighted before in this discussion where they've owned you recently. Joel, I got a little trivia for you. Do you know the last time the Yankees beat an AL East team in the playoffs?
The last time the Yankees beat an AL East team, I mean, just so I don't delay a lot, is it the 03 ALCS?
No, it's actually a little bit before that. So they actually beat the Orioles in the Game 5 of the 2012 ALDS.
Did Sabathia pitch a complete game?
Yeah.
To beat them, yeah. So, yes.
So but that's what we're talking about here. So
Orioles.
that's 13 years, Joel, that they've beat since they last beat a division rival in the playoffs and winning a game. So or beating a division rival in the playoffs. So the Red Sox have owned them in recent history. The Red Sox have been that team that
Can you imagine telling that to a Red Sox fan as Aaron Boone's home run is going out of the park in 2003? Just take a deep breath. You're about to start owning. You're about to start winning lots of championships and owning the Yankees. All of history is going to change. Alex Rodriguez is going to turn this in reverse on Babe Ruth. You're almost going to get A-Rod. The Yankees are going to get him. And by the way, that's going to signify the beginning of the end of the Yankees and dominating you in the curse.
It's been a crazy decade plus now of just the Red Sox having 2 decades of the Red Sox having more success as a franchise in terms of championships than the Yankees. So now's your chance.
Strange dynamic, right? Because the Yankees have been by far the more consistent, excellent team for the last 20 years. They always have a winning record. They always pretty much make the playoffs. They did win a championship in 2009. They played for a World Series last year. I mean, they're really good. Again, we beat up on them a lot, but they're really good, and they're in it every year. And in some ways, they become this era's Buffalo Bills or the Bobby Cox Braves. They're good enough to get in, so we beat them up worse than we might beat up a team that loses 95 games. The Red Sox have a lot of last place finishes over the last 20 years. A lot of years not making the play. Like it was been 4 years since they made the playoffs last before this one. But when they get in, they have a tendency to make runs. And so it's up to the Yankees to change that, to begin to reestablish that they're the dominant team in this rivalry. Because it's ugly when a Yankee season ends. It's uglier when the fans in Boston are celebrating, and these are home games for the Yankees. The Yankees have the better roster. The they have an ace of their own to throw at Boston on Tuesday night. Their bullpen seems in order for the first time all season. They have a lot of hitters going well, notably Judge. They're the favorite, and baseball's fickle.
Yep.
You could be a great team that loses to a bad team for 3 days, and it doesn't mean that you're not ultimately over 162-ish better. But this is the game, and the Yankees have to figure out how to beat Boston twice.
They certainly do. And let's get into this. So I do want to ask you before we get really into the deep dive of these 3 games or potential 3 games. If the Yankees don't win this series against the Red Sox and it's a wild card exit, be honest with me, Joel. I know you don't want to do predictions, but
am I not honest with you that
you are all the time, but like, are we talking about retaining this manager here? Because like this stigma is real.
I'll say this is I'll play along with hypotheticals, but we should probably deal with this on the next show if that happens. I think the Yankees the people who matter very much like this manager and think there is great value in understanding how to take a team from A to Z in the regular season and make sure you win 90 plus and get in. And that the theory of the modern front office, including the one of the Dodgers, is if you get in enough, eventually you'll win. You'll have the right draw like the Yankees had last year. You'll have good injury situation, which the Yankees have this year. Like it's hard to say that they're in a good injury position when they lost Cole in spring and then Schmidt, but really they took those hits. This is the healthiest they've been all year. They're going in healthy. Will they stay healthy for 3 or 4 weeks? Who knows? But the idea is if you get in enough, you'll win. And the Dodgers had to keep telling themselves that until 2020. And then when they got bounced early in 21, 22, and 23, and people said, well, that was just a COVID World Series. That one's kind of an asterisk. Until they beat the Yankees again last year, their philosophy of just get in enough and you'll win took a lot of beating. By the way, Met fans, close your eyes. David Stearns believes in building a team to get in 7 or 8 out of every 10 years and take your best shot at it. The Brewer team he left believes that, and they're in the playoffs again. I know no fan wants to hear this because they want to believe there's magic and that in some ways the Jeter Yankees of 96 to 2000 spoiled everybody and they were able to make themselves there were lots of reasons why they were dynastic, but the reality is we haven't seen a back-to-back champion since that three-peat, and I think championships are hard to win. And my line always, and I used it yesterday to a bunch of my friends who are Mets fans, who are all firing Carlos Mendoza by about the third inning yesterday. I said, it's very easy to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Got to tell me this magic manager you have who's going to make it all great, because the Mets thought they had it all great when they hired Mickey Callaway. Like by the way, multiple teams wanted to hire Mickey Callaway. The Mets couldn't let him leave for Philadelphia because they were afraid the Phillies were going to hire him. They didn't want him lingering because the Yankees were in the playoffs till late that year, and they knew the Yankees would have him on their list when Boone got hired, right?
Okay.
And so, it's always easy to fire Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point you could say, well, they just need another voice. Well, sometimes the other voice could be Mickey Callaway. The one thing is Aaron Boone could get them in. We've talked about it. I see certain issues that crop up all the time that are disturbing to me when I watch the team. But since I don't have this magic manager sitting there,
right,
who, It's the, oh, I don't like the pitching changes my manager makes. Right. Like you're sitting home and nitpicking June 12th, but you don't tell me when you're sitting there screaming, he should take him out, and then the starting pitcher gets a double play, right? Like you forget it. Not you, I'm Ryan. I'm using the
No,
universe.
I know what you're saying. I
Like,
know what you're saying.
everyone hates their manager. Dodger fans hate Dave Roberts.
No, I know.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's just the way it is. And I'm just not comfortable with the idea that there's some magic manager out there. It feels like old girlfriends week all the time. I hear people say, well, they should just hire Joe Girardi again or Buck Showalter, as if the same fans didn't hate their guts when they were managers. But you forget, oh, we had such a good time on that picnic back in 21. I should call her up again, you know? And I just, you got to be careful, Ryan. I'm not saying this is a perfect manager. I'm not saying he should even hold his job. But then you're going to be like, Brian Cashman's an idiot. That idiot better hire the right manager then. Right? Like, so that's
Well,
the
that was going to be my follow up too about Brian Cashman, considering he
right.
put this thing together. You know.
But what? But the whole industry would have hired David Stearns.
No, I know.
Whole industry. And today, go ask a Met fan what they think of David Stearns.
He had a disastrous year, Joel. He
Right,
really
he had a
did.
disastrous year. Do you think he's a good executive or not?
I think it's still
I,
TBD.
well, I think he's an outstanding executive who had everything go wrong this year, and likely over any 5 or 10 year period, you would say he's the right guy. So, like, cool. Let the Mets needed to wait 2 years to get to David Stearns because they had and ultimately they hired a guy who didn't even make it to the starting gate because he had sent lewd pictures to somebody. And then they hired Billy Epler, who everyone thought was inept. And then they hired David Stearns. And at this time last year, I live about 5 blocks from the Canyon of Heroes. You could have carried David Stearns down the Canyon of Heroes. Everybody would have cheered like crazy who's a Met fan. And 12 months later, he's an idiot. So you got to be careful. Like we just talked about, Brian Cashman, like here's what we forget. The Yankees lost Juan Soto. The Yankees lost Garrett Cole. They lost their best day-to-day hitter in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. We want to say he's second best to one of the greatest hitters of all time. So Judge, great. And they lost their ace, and they won 94 games because the Yankees pivoted and got Fried and Bellinger, and Stearns is the example that somebody really good at this could get it all wrong. And the Yankee people didn't get it all wrong. They put together another really good team, and it's just let's fire Brian Cashman. And then we're going to go to the general manager store, which I think is on 32nd and 5th, right? And we're going to get this perfect guy who's only going to make good moves and no bad moves, and nobody's ever going to call talk radio again and say shit about him. Like, Ryan, the easiest thing is to fire.
Right.
The easiest thing is to sit in one of our positions and fire. I get it. It's passionate, etc. You've just got to tell me who you're hiring and who's making like.
Well, I think those are all
Hal
future.
Steinbrenner's an idiot. Well, Hal Steinbrenner's the guy who's going to hire Brian Cashman's successor.
I know. That's
Like-
what's scary. It's scary, Joel. It is. It's
Why
it's
is it scary? Hal Steinbrenner's run as owner has been really good. You look at this. You could be Cone today.
All right. I think I would disagree respectfully about Al Steinbrenner's run as an owner.
What?
right now.
What? Like again, there's no championships. Championships are hard to win. Like I hear all the time, Hal's cheap.
I don't think he's cheap. I don't think he's cheap. I think that's a ridiculous narrative that people
It's
put
a
out there.
ridiculous narrative. So
Yeah.
I hear all the time he doesn't care. The Tampa Bay people were in his stadium all year.
Yeah.
Ryan. They told me that Hal Steinbrenner comes to work at that ballpark every day. He watches the Yankees single A game at night every time they play. Anybody who works with the Yankees will tell you he lives and dies with the team because he's not doing it in front of a camera. We have decided the narrative is he doesn't care. And I'd just like to know what is the example of he doesn't care. He's investing the money. He's putting in the time. He okayed multiple years now of trading prospects. He's based in Tampa. He loves the prospects. He'll talk to you forever. He literally watches every single game. I I'm not here like there's no perfect owners either, but like there's this vision of his father that's a false vision of who his father was. His father had incredible failure for about a 15-year period, and people cheered. Yankee fans cheered on the day he was suspended. And by the way, he was a bully who was not nice to people. He punched down. Okay? Ultimately, he got cleaned up because the greatest deodorant is winning. And at the end, after he was suspended and couldn't touch the team, and Stick Michael put together a winner,
Right.
and Brian Sabian's farm system put together Bill Livesey's farm system, put together a winner. He came and he was the owner, and he went out a winner. He went out a winner. Hal Steinbrenner's done really well. I mean, I think he cares and I think he invests. And trust me, if the next instinct of every conspiracy theorist, terrible person in the world is like, oh, he must. I haven't talked to Hal in 6 months. Like, if you think, oh, he does this, like, Hal's very nice when we see each other, but we ain't text buddies, we ain't call buddies. But I know what bad ownership looked like. I covered the Wilpons for the last 30 years. I know what bad looks like.
Yeah.
That is not a problem. He is involved. He's putting a lot of money into this. Like, remember, whatever he's spending on payroll, double it for what the infrastructure is behind the scenes. Then they had 85 million a year for the bond for Yankee Stadium. I know, and this is the family business. It is. He's not a hedge fund guy like Cohen. Like,
No.
this is the business.
This is
And
his
by the
total
way,
business.
he's
I know.
feeding the whole family.
Yep.
There's a lot of grandkids who are being fed. I didn't mean to make this
It's okay. It's okay.
referendum on Hal, but I just think the easiest thing to do is like, the reality is he's a good owner. Brian Cashman is a good baseball executive, and Aaron Boone is a good manager who is going to have to prove that at this time of year, he has a team that, like, to me, this is going to be about mental toughness. They get in front of another team that fights back, and when the other team fights back and plays baseball well, they have fallen apart. What is interesting is over the last 2 months, this Yankee team has played baseball much better.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan McMahon can't hit. He can't hit at all, pretty much. But his defense at third base, especially because you have two lefty starters at the front of your rotation and the ball's on the ground to the left side all the time, and Bellinger's defense, wherever you put him in the outfield, has helped the group. There's a better athleticism. Now, they're going to make some mistakes on the bases, which can really cost them. Jazz Chisholm could still get adventurous with the ball in his hand and running the bases. And I suspect there'll be a time or two where we're sitting here going, oh my goodness.
Yep.
But this team, athletically and technically, is so superior to the team that went to the World Series last year. And so we will probably look back and say the best thing that ever happened to the Yankees is they didn't re-sign Juan Soto. And it's not because Juan Soto isn't a great historic hitter, because he is a great historic hitter. He's going to probably go down as maybe one of the 25 best hitters ever by the time it's all done. Maybe even better than that. But if the Yankees had Soto, they wouldn't have Fried, they wouldn't have Bellinger, they'd have to still have Judge in center field. What would that look like with no, like, the Soto loss was actually a gain for them. And to the credit of the owner, who then still supported the payroll and went to 750 on Soto and then supported the payroll, to the baseball operations, which traded for Bellinger, which didn't non-tender Grisham, which signed Fried, who got David Bednar and not Ryan Helsley at the trade deadline, who saw the value of putting McMahon at third. There's no perfect. Only on talk radio is they're perfect. This really is very, very good, with the understanding that they're judged by this month coming up. And they have not been technically good enough and mentally tough enough when the opponent shows up and is not afraid of them, when it's not an AL Central team. This is the bugaboo.
Yeah.
Starting Tuesday night, they're going to have to prove that they could get beyond that bugaboo or not. It doesn't matter what I said. I can't, I'm the little boy with his fingers. Like, I'm not going to stop the Hal Steinbrenner sucks, Brian Cashman sucks, Aaron Boone
It'll
sucks.
be a flood, Joel. It'll be a flood.
Get rid of them all. Because we just watched 12 months ago, Cone, Stearns, and Mendoza were heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Today, they're all idiots who the fans want out. It's the easy answer all the time. Um, David Stearns didn't get really, really dumb in 12 months. He had a bad 12 months. He had a bad 12 months, and there probably needs to be a question about sense of urgency with him that in his desire to build something umbrella big for the next 10 years, you can't lose sight that there's a parade every year.
Yeah.
That you gotta sometimes gulp and do what you don't want to do and spend sometimes when you're in New York and you're playing for the most, you got to spend $1.25 of the future for $1 today. And I think David Stearns will learn that probably. He's much smarter than you and me, and he'll figure it out. But I don't think he became an idiot in 12 months. And
I don't think he's an idiot. I just, like you said, there's that sense of urgency that I think a lot of fans were hoping for that they didn't see. Trade deadline, offseason, like all that. You can get into that later. We can get to that another time. But let's talk about this matchup. Garrett Crochet. The Yankees do not have good numbers against this guy. He has dominated them in pretty much every form this season and in history. Aaron Judge has 3 hits against him. 2 of them are home runs. Giancarlo Stanton, he's 2 for 7 in his career against him. 1 home run. Like, Joel, what's this lineup going to look like? Are we going to see Paul Goldschmidt going up against him? He's 2 for 15 in his career against Garrett Crochet. And do you take a guy like Ben Rice, wow, he's hit into a lot of bad luck, has put together an insane season. Another 2 home runs yesterday. He's hit lefty on lefty. I've seen him do it. He hits the ball hard. So there's that question of, if you're Aaron Boone, do I weigh the defense with Paul Goldschmidt, a better defender at first? He's a righty bat versus another lefty pitcher, or do I put the guy who potentially could hit a big home run for us in a big spot in Ben Rice? How is he going to weigh that position?
well, I think the Ben Rice question is interesting because if Goldschmidt plays, do you catch Rice? Because the bat has been so good late, and he's clearly not afraid. And you saw like it was interesting, Ryan. I thought in game 162, and again, I was at Yankee Stadium yesterday. I think you saw a lot of the Yankee issues even while they were winning the game. They won the game because Rice hit a couple of home runs. That's how they win games. But Caballero made a dumb base running play. Chisholm made a dumb throw. And the bottom of the order was pretty much dead with McMahon and Austin Wells striking out 6 times in 6 at bats. And so you see, like, again, how this happens. And the Yankees are a left-hand hitting power team, and Crochet destroys lefty hitters. Like, his slider is one of the 5 best pitches in the sport. So how many lefties do you play? I assume Rosario starts at third base, which is interesting, right? Because you got Fried on the mound and the ball's going to be hit there. But Rosario started the last time against Crochet, and I think hit a home run off of him. So I think you're going to see him. Do you see Austin Slater in left? Or is it a Bellinger, Grisham, Judge outfield? I think that's an interesting question. I don't think Caballero starts. I took a quick look yesterday. I think like Caballero, if you have this up on your screen still,
I
was
do.
like 0 for 7 with like 5 strikeouts
0 for
against.
7, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Anthony Volpe is 2 for 5 in his career against with 2 strikeouts.
So I think you got a first base, left field, third base question. I think Rosario will start at third. And I think part of the game tomorrow, Ryan, is can they get Crochet out?
Yeah.
Because ultimately the Yankees want to get to their left-handed bats. Now, again, if Wells is catching and Goldschmidt's at first and they get Crochet out and they're winning 4-1, Goldschmidt's going to stay at first base because that's the superior first baseman to Rice. But McMahon's going to get in the game. at that point.
So you potentially pitch hit Rice in a spot and then put, I
Yeah.
guess, McMahon in defense, like if Rosario comes up against a
Yeah,
tough righty.
I think that's all in play. I think the Yankees have a much more versatile deep team than last year. Also, that's part of the thing
Yeah,
is, like you might not love Jason Dominguez, but Jason Dominguez and Caballero
the speed off the
and
bench.
Rosario, that's a real bench. It's a real bench. It's good. You got speed, you got lefty hitting, you got righty hitting, you got some stuff. So it's a better group. Good lefty starting as well as great as the Yankees did against lefty pitching this year in a year where teams didn't do great against lefties. It gets the Yankees to a lineup they don't want to play. So can they get Crochet? Getting Crochet up to 95 pitches in 5 1/3 has a lot of value tomorrow. And yet, I think if you talk to scouts and said, how do you attack Crochet? They'd say, first fastball you see, jump on it because you don't want him to get to his slider. So sometimes you could get like to a situation where the innings are easy because you're attacking early.
That's scary
So
again
and
too.
so the Yankees hit a couple of homers off of him at Fenway, and had pretty good at bats against them the last time. They are seeing him for a fifth time this year. On the other hand, Boston is not unfamiliar with Freed. They've seen him now plenty. Uh, the Yankees are a 3-point shooting team.
Yeah.
They're a home run hitting team. If they hit 2 or 3 homers against Crochet in their ballpark where they're really a home run hitting team, that's so much is on Judge and Stanton as the power righty bats tomorrow night. And look, we saw this. Crochet pitched one of the best games I saw this season, and Judge, who looked terrible all night, popped the home run in the ninth. Was it to tie the game? A game I
Uh,
think the
was
Yankees
it the
lost.
ninth or the eighth? I know it was the
It,
third at bat, but yeah.
whatever it was is like so. Again, Judge and Stanton are going to strike out some tomorrow night, I would assume. Can they park one or two tomorrow? Because they're the key guys against Crochet.
It was actually the fifth inning. So
No,
that
no,
he hit a home run
that
in the
fifth
fifth
inning of
inning.
this that was his last one. I'm talking about the one early in the season where
Oh,
he
early in the season. Okay, okay.
at Fenway, the first time they were at Fenway. I think he homers in either the eighth or ninth inning to tie at 1-1.
Okay, I remember what you're talking about now. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he had struck out his first three at bats. Might even have done it on like 10 pitches or 11 pitches. Like he was dominated by Crochet, but then pop one. And I assume there'll be some strikeouts tomorrow night.
And
But
and that's what's interesting,
the
right? So the
exchange
balance,
is that they got to get the ball over the fence.
but that's the balance, right? Like, so you're a 3-point hitting team, but can you be patient enough at the plate to get Crochet's pitch count up so you can get him out of the
I
game?
think you got to attack his fastball. I think every scout, that's not me. Any scout you talk to, just be like, if you're going to try to hit Garrett Crochet's slider, good luck.
Yeah. So and that's fascinating. So you asked and you posed this before. Do you potentially see Austin Slater starting in left and then them not playing Cody Bellinger game one of the wild card?
No, no. Bellinger will play center. Grisham wouldn't play.
Oh, Grisham wouldn't play. Okay, so you would take Grisham out.
I didn't say I would. I said I think that's the decision he has to make. I would play Grisham.
Okay. All right.
I
So
would I would be like, we're a 3-point shooting team, and Grisham might isn't going to be afraid and might click one off of um Crochet. Slater's not going to click one off of Crochet. Slater might hit a single or something like
or
that.
get on base, yeah.
And his defense isn't good. Like the Yankees' best defensive alignment is Bellinger, Grisham, Judge. By the way, I think it's a big deal. Judge legit threw over the weekend, and I think maybe took that off the board as an issue, which I'm sure not only thrills Aaron Boone, but I bet you thrills my friend Mark DeRosa, who's Team USA's manager and probably is worried about what offseason was bringing for Judge because Judge is the captain of Team USA for the WBC next spring. But yeah, I think that's a big deal. I think Judge is a well above average right fielder when he has not only his athleticism to go get it, but perhaps the best right field arm to go do it. By the way, watch. So I think, we're doing this. Keep in mind the Red Sox have the same issue. The Red Sox are very heavily left-handed,
Mm-mm.
and against Fried and Rodon, they're probably going to have to start Rob Refsnyder, which they like to do because he hits lefties so well. But when it's Duran, Rafaela, and Abreu, they have the best defensive outfield in the sport. And usually it will be Duran, who I think will come out. And that takes out some fire and athleticism, but gets you the bat. Does he go further? We saw this in the games. Does he put Nate Eaton as a starter someplace on the field to get another righty bat in? Romy Gonzalez is going to play. He's a sneaky good player and he beats up lefty pitching. So the Red Sox are very left-handed also, and I would assume minimum their good defensive outfield gets broken up until a righty reliever gets into the games for games 1 and 2.
Speaking of Yankees defense, you brought up Jazz Chisholm, and just there's been a lot of throwing errors lately, it feels like, with him. Is this a mental, like, hey, toughness, like you said, got to lock in, man. You can't have these sail throws. You can't be skipping throws. Same thing with Volpe. Like, the mental toughness has to be there where these guys have to be on their game.
Yeah, I just think with Jazz, it's Jazz Chisholm fantasy camp. I think he's trying to do things hard. I think he's trying to do degree of difficulty, hard, fun. Like Luke Weaver said something to me after the game yesterday. I went over to his locker and we're chatting. Luke's one of the best guys to deal with. And I asked about winning 14 games in October. And he said, we're positioned to win 14 games in October. He said, our bullpen's pitching well, our starting pitching's pitching well. We're hitting well in general, and we're hitting home runs, which is, he goes, look, let's not pretend what our strengths are. That's our strength. He goes, we need to be at our peak fundamentally. That was Luke Weaver. That was the term. We need to be at our peak fundamentally. And I think the Yankees fundamentally, that these have been their best 2 months. I really think McMahon was important. And I mean, like McMahon's a strange offensive player because he actually has a good eye. He swings and misses at pitches over the plate. He's not a chaser who misses. So I don't know if anything could be done with his swing in the offseason to even try to get him to league average, because I assume you're about to see a very bad October for as long as it lasts offensively. And you got to play him because it really improved them defensively because Chisholm is such a better second baseman. He could get balls, and when he has to turn it, he could turn it. It's just like he doesn't have, like Jazz doesn't have that in real time editing valve. Eat it. Eat it. There was no play at first base yesterday.
Nope.
There was none. Just
Nope.
eat the ball. Don't try to do the spectacular. Like,
And he's tried that a lot lately, it feels like.
yes, especially on the pivot, especially on tough angle throws from the field where he's on the ground and stuff. Sometimes you got to punt, play defense, and live for another day.
Yep. It's a great way to describe it.
And Jazz doesn't like to punt.
No, he doesn't. And he'll be swinging for the fences tomorrow too. Don't get
Yes.
that twisted either. Like, he will be trying to hit homers
They're
off
a
of Garrett
three-point
Crochet.
shooting team, and everybody's going to be trying.
Which is crazy because Jazz, like you said, is so athletic, and if he can get on base, watch the hop pop. I mean, he doesn't do the hop pop as much as Caballero.
Narvaez is a good thrower.
Narvaez is a good throwing catcher.
And Alex Coro is a sharp manager. And if you're going to start hopping against them, you might get a couple of easy outs and take some bats out of people's hands. And by the way, I want the Yankees to be aggressive, but there's even yesterday, before he gets picked off, when it seems to me pretty clear that he's trying to get to 50 stolen bases, and that's more important than the game, I guess, for
Caballero.
Caballero was so far off first base on his steal. I do not understand why the pitcher doesn't. Like, to me, the catcher should literally stand up. That should be the signal. Break the mound, turn around. It's an easy out. The catcher has to be able to see that on his peripheral vision. I'm assuming Carlos Narvaez, who's an excellent catcher, will see that on his peripheral vision. I'm assuming Alex Cora, who's a terrific manager, will school them today at the workout. They've got a couple of hoppers, Caballero, Jazz, Volpe. And Narvaez is going to throw some back picks. Yankees got to, if they hop, they better not just be leisurely back to the base. You're going to be out with Narvaez behind the plate. You better, if you're hopping, if you don't go, you better treat getting back to first as hard as you treated trying to get to second.
Well, Joel, let's talk about the starting rotation. Fried, Rodon slated to go game 1 and 2. Schlittler seems like he's penciled in for number 3 spot. I mean, he looked great again this weekend, longest he's gone in a game. Do you get a sense that this could potentially be, your 3 horses? Like, this is who you're going to rely on? And what's the legacy defining moments here that we could see from Fried and Rodon? Both guys who, I mean, Fried has won a championship. Rodon has not done great in the playoffs recently. What can these guys do to help support that?
Yeah, so let's deal with the regular season first, because again, and I'm scared that this becomes oh, you're just toady to the man, or they give me story, or whatever nonsense comes up. Is let's give the Yankees some credit. I spent this entire season on this webcast saying the ultimate kill for them was starting pitching depth. That I thought that what happened to the Mets, I thought had a good chance of happening to the Yankees, where they simply ran out of starters. So when you spend money, you could spend it poorly, or you could spend it on Max Fried, and it turns out Carlos Rodon, who turned out to be 2 of the 10 best pitchers in maybe the whole sport this year, certainly the American League. Fried is probably going to finish 4th or 5th for the Cy Young. Rodon will get some down ballot votes. Uh, and let's give the Yankees credit for, and Rodon credit, which is a lot of people get knocked down in New York, especially the Bronx, and never get back up. 2023 could not have gone worse for Carlos Rodon. And today, he's a guy we're talking about. He led the American League in batting average against. He had a 3 ERA. He made 32, 33 starts. His durability, which was always going to be a question for him, has not been a question in the last 2 years. He's been very durable. And by the way, with Cole out, if Fried and Rodon are not durable
Yeah.
and excellent, the Yankees do not make the playoffs. From their own system, they had a rookie of the year last year in Hill. This year, Will Warren was a league average starter who made 33 starts when there was nobody else to make those starts. Schlittler came up and looks like he might be something. He might be something. He's certainly something this year when they needed it for a game 3 starter. And Heel came back, and he's not the Luis Heel of last year. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot less swing and miss, but it's hard to score runs against them. I don't know how, because he's not as dynamic as last year. And since the beginning of August, they've kept those 5 guys healthy and round and round. When there was no, I mean, the 6th option is Paul Blackburn and then Ryan Yarbrough.
Yeah.
And so, there should be credit there for developing starters, paying for the right starters, and fixing a guy like Rodon in his repertoire and helping him mentally get through that first year. So there's that. These are good starting pitchers. Sometimes good starting pitchers are great at this time of year, and sometimes they're not. I don't think Max Fried is afraid. He won he was a difference maker in the Braves championship in 21. He pitched great that postseason, won the clinching game against Houston in Houston. And then the last couple of years, he's been bad for the Braves. I think it's probably been physical issues where he's wear and tear. Is there going to be wear and tear? Both Fried and Rodon set career highs in innings pitched for regular seasons. So where are they? They both look great down the stretch. If they pitch like they did down the stretch, the Yankees are in good shape. If Schlittler pitched, I talked to a scout who watched Schlittler's last start, and he said, I don't care that that's the Orioles. That's stuff, man. That's going to get people out. And when the lights turn on, if there's a do or die game at Yankee Stadium on Thursday night, I've liked everything I've seen from Schlittler. That's a magnitude that's way higher. On the other hand, it's also pretty high for Lucas Giolito
Yeah.
Stadium, right? Who's a veteran. I think the Yankees are in good shape with starting pitching if the guys who've thrown the last month show up.
How exciting would that be? The kid from Walpole, Massachusetts. Walpole, is that how you say it?
Yeah. Well,
Massachusetts.
how about if the battery is him and Ben Rice, who are both from Massachusetts?
Yes. How crazy would that be? Look, so the thing I do want to talk about is, let's say Fried and Crochet dominates the Yanks game 1 and the Yanks lose game 1. It's a lot of pressure on Carlos Rodon in a
But
must-win
it's a lot of
situation.
pressure anyway. Like, this guy pitched under a lot of pressure last year. He's either, I get it. Rodon's going to be one of those guys we never trust fully, right? Because of that first year in particular, where it's always going to be like, "Uh," and also because we know there's going to be that ill-timed walk just in front of the homer,
Yeah.
which happened in his last start, I think, too. And it happens. Carlos Rodon has great stuff. He seems at such a better level of peace with being a Yankee, being a guy who they're counting on. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? If he doesn't have this year, they don't make the playoffs.
Nope.
Like like the 95, 96 starts they get from Fried, Rodon, and Warren. I don't know what they do without it. And I don't know what they do if in those if 66 of them aren't Fried and Rodon pitching both like aces. I mean, the sad thing for the Yankees and their fans is if this team had Cole, I actually think they would have won the division
Yep.
and they'd be the favorites even over the Dodgers to win it all.
Yeah.
And I talked to Rodon after the game yesterday. He had his kids around, so I wanted to keep it tight. But I went up to his locker and I was just talking to him, and I could tell it's killing him.
The
Not being
pressure
involved.
not
No,
being.
no.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry, you said Rodon. So
oh, I'm
Cole.
sorry. I went up to Cole.
Okay, so Garrett
I'm
Cole. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I
yeah.
misspoke. I went to Cole after the game. I was at his locker. I really like talking to Garrett Cole. He's very bright. He's very good on the whole team. He's very good on pitching. And he was just like he was praising everything up and down. And then we talked about him a little bit. I won't don't want to go too deep, and I could just tell like this is like one of those moments like it. He hasn't won a ring, and if the Yankees won a ring, he gets a ring.
Yeah,
But it's not really a ring.
I hear
You know
you.
what I mean?
I hear you.
And even though I'm sure he has lots of involvement behind the scenes, I bet you guys like Warren and especially Schlittler, who stylistically has some stuff in common with him, he's been a great help. He's part of the team, etc. You know he wants to be out there against Crochet tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
He's pitching that game already in his
Yeah,
head as
yeah.
he would. And it just something to throw in. But the Yankees overcame that. That's their ace. And they overcame it because of how good Fried and Rodon were and how durable they were.
Well, look, this is where they get the chance to actually, again, we talked about the stigma. We talked about this thing laying over their heads. Can they beat the Red Sox in the playoffs? This is their opportunity for
And
Aaron
this,
Judge to build on his legacy and actually be that guy we all seen all during the regular season. So Joel, I want to say for Joel's notebook, I'll leave it here for you. I'm not asking for a prediction, but can you tell me what are you looking for in this series? What's going to determine ultimately who wins this wild card series between the Yankees and Red Sox?
this is about Aaron Judge. This is the Aaron Judge era of the Yankees. It's not the Aaron Boone era. It's not the Brian Cashman era. It's not the Hal Steinbrenner era. It's not the Max Fried era. This is about Judge. And assuming the Yankees pitch well enough to be in games. And let's be honest, right? Devin Williams is going to be like Rodon. Every time he touches the ball, if you're a Yankee fan, you're going to be sitting there going, I don't really believe that Devin Williams is going to get 3 outs here before he gets right. Like as
Yes.
well as he pitched down the stretch, it's going to be like, he walked the leadoff hitter. I knew never to believe in him, right? Kind of thing. So, but if they're generally a team that holds the opponent to 3 or 4 for 9 innings, the Yankees need Judge to win games. Judge needs Judge to win games. He is a Hall of Fame player. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen. I think as great as Raleigh's been this year, can you imagine how great you'd have to be the MVP in a year where a catcher hits 60 homers? And yet I actually think Judge is the MVP. This is not about April through September Judge. This series is about, and this October, and it's set up. He's hitting great going in. He also seems to be at an incredible peace about who he is. Can he have his moment? I would point out Barry Bonds was an October failure until 2002 when he dominated all the way to Game 7 of the World Series, which the Giants ultimately lose. But he has a great postseason. Again, that's always a tough guy to talk about because of PED stuff,
Yeah.
but he ultimately had his big October. Remember what I said earlier about teams trying to get as many reps? If you make the playoffs enough, you believe that at some point we're going to have the health and the luck and we'll win a championship.
Mhm.
Aaron Judge gets a lot of reps playing in the postseason. You would assume a player as great as him will get one where for 3 weeks you sit there and feel about him how you felt for the last 3 weeks watching the regular season, which is I'm watching every at bat. Home runs are hard to hit, and yet every at bat you think he's going to hit one because that's how locked in he is right now. This October is a lot about him. Can he win a game or two for the Yankees? Like Soto had a moment last year that Judge has yet to have. It came and went because Soto came and went. But that is a forever moment against the Guardians. Stanton has had some forever moments these last couple of postseasons. The Yankees are going to be hard pressed to win 14 games in total or even two against Boston if there are not big moments by their rise above everybody else on the team star. Does he have those moments or not?
It's where the heroes and legends are made, especially here in the Bronx, where the Yankees have this long history. Can Aaron Judge extend and build on that legacy that he has already put together here in the Bronx? Giancarlo Stanton, I think, is such a huge X factor here as well. The way he's been swinging the bat this season, and he looks locked in. I'm looking forward to seeing his at bats. We're looking forward to seeing your coverage, Joel Sherman, all postseason long. I know you're a very busy man. We appreciate you always hopping on here on the Pinstripe Post, talking Yankees baseball. I know we're going to have plenty to talk about throughout this playoff run, however long or short it is, and then we get to break it all down with you. Joel Sherman, enjoy the playoffs, and we'll catch you next time, okay, sir?
Yeah, I'm on the way to a Yankee workout, and then I'm going to hop from there to David Stern's press conference at Citi Field. So I'm glad you got me up early because I need some coffee. And always, always, I appreciate everybody who watches.
Joel Sherman, you're the man. We'll catch you next time.